awareness and a perspective, and so it's always been there. And I think just the perspective of understanding. Just a week ago we had it, and so it's fragile, during these times, and so we just had to remind each other of that. And I thought the guys were they were taking one game at a time. We understand, the odds are stacked against us, but we're a team that believes in us no matter what, and we just got to keep going, and all that matters is the next game.
We want to come back to Miami. The next one should be fun. It should be a big one, and we got to come ready to play.
Well, you would hope so, right? Come back ready to play. You're down 1-3 in the series. You're playing at home. So, Isaiah, we come to you. We talk about these three-point shooters and the shot. What has to happen for the Celtics?
Well, of course they have to keep making them, but the adjustment that they've made to get shots and to get open shots, right? You see they got a two-man front now.
A lovely view from up above. Sunny. Can you believe it? I don't know what that means. It could be the calm before the storm before this young man wreaks havoc on the city. Jimmy Butler for the Miami Heat. They are up, of course, 3-1 in this series, but coming off of a loss in the last game. His performance, 29 points. It's kind of pedestrian for him these days. He set the bar so high. Let's take a look back at Game 4.
The Boston Celtics, virtually everyone's pick, now on the verge of elimination as the Miami Heat try to close out this series tonight.
Intensity, the same mindset, same focus for the next game.
Hesitates and out to Smart, who launches the triple. And now it's raining threes.
Hitting in the paint. Double pass back for the trailer. Two-hand slam. Rob Williams and the Celtics back in command, leading by 16.
That's how you counter.
Whoa, Tatum.
We're just trying to save our season and win tonight, and we did that.
Hey there, welcome inside our NBA TV studios, and welcome to Playoff Central Live, presented by AT&T 5G. I'm Stephanie Reddy, alongside the Hall of Famer Isaiah Thomas and Dennis Scott, who likes to say,
Leave it. Leave it.
We'll have a lot of that going on tonight as we talk about the three-point shooting. Gentlemen, that's kind of been the story in this series. Look at what the Boston Celtics in particular. You live by the three, you die by the three. That's an old adage that we've all used, but the Celtics are taking it to heart. You can see the column on the left is the wins, column on the right.
Watch Miami this season and saying, wait a minute, they haven't shot the ball these last, 3 or 4 games since the bubble. Yeah. Think about that for a second. So now they're shooting the ball well. Now it's a wrong time for it to get cold in Miami. And we know down in Florida, we don't like when it get cold down in Florida. It's a bad time. So now, to your point, Zeke, now you have the team who's been taking threes all season long. Yeah. They're going back home, and like you said, it's actually warm in Boston now versus normally cold during the regular season. So I expect those role players to shoot the ball well at home.
Isaiah, you brought up Gabe Vincent. It's something that we should talk about because he is now out for the game. Adrenaline is pumping, you're fine, but then when it blows up, you realize, oh, it's probably a little worse than I thought. So how do they, it's not a recovery situation because they know he's not playing.
Yeah.
But the Miami Heat have always had this attitude, next man up. Can they do it without him? I mean, he's had great production.
Well, they can do it without him, but I don't think they will tonight. And again, the Celtics are playing well, and they need his point production. Remember what I said earlier. They held Miami to 99 points. This is the first time Miami hasn't scored 100 points in this series. So defensively, Boston has figured something out. Coming back home, they will play grade school, help, late recovery, knockdown shot. This is what Boston has gotten really good at in this series, 3D. This is where they've made the adjustment. They took Williams and they took Horford as opposed to having them up top. So Miami can sit in a three-man zone, so to speak, or build their wall. They took Williams and they took Horford, and they moved them back to the baseline, and now you got a two-guard front, and now Tatum can do his thing, and he can do what 3D likes to do.
Leave it. But when you saw those last 2 plays, though, guys, it's the draw and kick action I like the most. We know Jaylen Brown and JT. We know they're one of the best one-on-one guys. I love the three-point shot, but the draw and kick three gives you better percentages, less hands in your face versus going one-on-one, and then trying to do too much. That's what I like about those clips.
Well, it's interesting you say that, 3D, because it's the 28 assists that they had in that last game. That's the most they've had. No coincidence that's the only game they've won in this series. But to continue on this three-point shooting story, when you look at what they've done, Boston, they're 9-12 when they've made 13 or more threes, but 0-6 when they've made less than that. So do they have what it takes to come back from this deficit for the entire series? One game, great. You still got to win 3 more.
I think they do. They have confidence now. They won on the road. And not only did they win on the road, but they held Miami to 99 points. This is the first time one team has been held under 100, and the Celtics held Miami under 99. And now they're going back home, they're feeling good, and they're confident in their shot. They'll go home, they'll make shots. I expect now you're asking Miami, can they win 3 on the road? And this is why it's important. You got to close out the series. When you got a chance to close it out, you got to close out and drop the hammer because you never know when injuries are going to come.
Does that mean Kyle Lowry has to go in the starting lineup where everything was working out perfect of him coming off the bench being a part of the second lineup? So if he starts, who's that wing coming off the bench to hold down the fort? So I'm with Zeke tonight. There isn't too many next men up in Miami's case because everybody's banged up. Kyle Lowry, I love you to death. We love that Philly toughness. There's a reason Coach Spo sent you away for 6 weeks to what? Get your body right. Yeah. Your body's right to come off the bench and be a part of the second unit. Your body's not ready to go against the first unit.
Yeah.
So now each man up, step up. Now Caleb Martin, can you have – Caleb Martin's playing lights-out basketball.
Playing good.
Can you go to another level? If you can do that, maybe. But it's going to be tough in Boston.
Well, to your point, 3D, last time that Kyle Lowry started was February 2nd. So it's been a while. But can Jaylen Brown turn it on? We're going to talk to Stan Van Gundy coming up next.
Yes, he can.
Losses, and it is significant. So, yes, you have to make shots to win games, but for these Celtics, the 3 is really the story. Let's listen.